Billiken fans, welcome back. It's Zach Miller and Peter Hale. It's the Midtown Madness Podcast. Before we get going, again, thank you all so much for listening. We really do appreciate it. If you're watching on YouTube, don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button. It's season 5. Once again, the Midtown Madness is brought to you by Two Men in a Garden. Pete, I was in Indianapolis this weekend, and I had chips and salsa at this local Mexican joint. I think it was local. I don't know. But the chips had this dust on it, and it had crushed red pepper in it. And the entire time I was thinking, damn, what would go great with these chips is some Two Men in a Garden salsa. It blows every other salsa that you can buy in the store out of the water, in my opinion. It's local. Like I said, it tastes amazing. They've got all the flavors to suit your individual taste. You can get their many products at any local grocery store or online at twomeninthegarden.com. And if you've been listening to us, you know, if you have a certain taste for a certain type of salsa, head over to twomeninthegarden.com first, because that's where they have all their products. You can get all their products there. They may not have it in certain stores. Follow them on social media at Two Men Salsa on Instagram and Twitter. I suspect they will be pretty active during the Billiken season because we know Joel is a huge Billiken fan. Pete, we've got a huge guest, a legendary guest, dare I say it.
We sure do, Zach, and there might be a little bit of a hint on your screen right now at who that guest is if people are watching along. But I also see that you have a little bit of you got something around your neck there. What's going on?
Shoot! I didn't mean to. I didn't mean. I thought I took this off. I ran the Indianapolis Monumental Half Marathon this weekend. I wore my DeAndre Jones jersey, which was a little fun
for the entire race.
Yeah, I just wore it. I wore it over like a warm, like a Nike Hyper Warm shirt.
So this is like the authentic, like the game worn one.
Yes,
you bought, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I made sure to like cheese for every camera that I passed. So I'm excited to see if I got any good pictures. But it was a good time. Indianapolis is a fun town. Caitlin Clark was not at the race, which was a bummer. I only went there because Caitlin Clark is in Indianapolis. It's the only reason I would ever. Is there any other reason to go to Indianapolis?
I mean, she's got to be the biggest celebrity in town these days. I don't know if she spends her off seasons there, though. I mean,
here's the weirdest thing I saw this weekend. Okay, Taylor Swift was there 2 weeks ago.
Yeah,
JW Marriott building. I swear to God, there was a Taylor Swift decal from the base of the building to the top of the building. The biggest ass Taylor Swift you've ever seen in your life. I've never seen anything like it.
Amazing.
It was insane.
Actually, I think it was just like one weekend ago, the previous weekend. My boss was there with her daughters and her husband. So I know a lot of people from Cincinnati went up for that. It's only an hour and a half from here.
Well, we are going to start off with our guest, who is going to be joining us to talk about the Billikens' loss against Santa Clara in Sioux Falls. And we are going to start that right now. Billiken fans, as I mentioned in the intro, we have a true Billiken legend joining the podcast. It's his second time joining a podcast I've done. First time on the Midtown Madness podcast. And truly he is legendary because fans, we have something. It's a player who goes through a major improvement over the summer is named after Brian Conklin. It's the Conklin Summer. And Brian Conklin, you truly are a Billiken legend. Welcome to the Midtown Madness podcast, man.
Zach, Pete, I appreciate you guys for having me. It's been a long time, right? This is the second time that I've been on with you, but you guys have made a lot of push for a lot of great things that St. Louis basketball is heading towards, and there's a lot of new energy and excitement. So I'm happy to jump on with you guys. And
where are you coming to us from?
Oh, I'm back home right now in Eugene. Came down. My wife's working for a company down here, so she's got a couple things she's got to do tomorrow. So we live in Portland now, but I'm at the house in Eugene. I'm playing stay-at-home dad right now. waiting for a gig still overseas. These old legs are still taking me around the world.
So you haven't hung it up yet. You're still doing it.
As Coach Majerus would love to say, I have not put my ball in the closet just yet.
That's incredible. You really are. Not only are you a mythological Billiken, you have there's so much about your career that made you a fan favorite. You're also going down the path of being one of the more interesting post-Billiken careers. I mean, you've got guys like Josh Fisher, Chris Heinrich, Kevin Lish made a huge career overseas, and you have just been globetrotting just for the love of the game, playing ball.
Yep, exactly. I mean, it was the love of the game that I had, I guess, when I was younger, but now that we're getting to my older years, it's just I'm a little slower, so the love of the game doesn't get you far. It's the knowledge and everything that was imparted to me by Coach Majerus, and just I've always been a competitor, and so just still that, and that's probably why I got one more year left in me, just one last go of it, one last run. Yeah,
that's awesome.
So how I just one more on that. How will that work? Like if you're based in Portland now, your wife's work, and you're kind of settled down, right? Like family life. Like, are you just ready to go to whoever has an offer on the table?
That's how it's been. Yeah. So the last 3 years, we just had our 3-year anniversary. We've had a house up in Portland. The kids have been in school. She's been working for the last year, but that's where it's gotten tough, and that's where I'm kind of ready to be the last year to hang it up. I've got a third grader, he's 9, first grader, she's 6, and so they want dad home. My wife wants dad home. I want holidays home. I want that stuff that I've missed the last few years, but just still that competitive nature of still being a ball player. So it's the fine line, and yeah, I'm ready to go at a moment's notice. I got to stay in shape, and stay in shape is not 8-ounce pearls. It's actually truly stay in shape.
Hey, so we got some news this week regarding Chaifetz Arena concessions that I think might draw you back to Chaifetz Arena for a game here soon. Pappy's Smokehouse, in a little conjunction, I guess, with the Billiken Victory Fund NIL, is featuring Pappy's Smokehouse in Chaifetz Arena. It's a dedicated concession stand located on the concourse outside of Section 117, starting November 10th. That was today. I didn't get over there to see it, but I wanted to run by these menu items with you, and I want you to pick out what you're going for first. They've got burnt ends, brisket, sausage, barbecue chicken sandwich, pig nachos, barbecue plate, a Billiken footlong, or a barbecue parfait.
I'm going the beef brisket and probably the burnt ends.
Okay.
We did get a picture today,
but there's got to be sweet potato fries. If they don't have their,
no,
we got to put that.
I don't think those are on the menu. We did see a picture of the Billiken footlong, and it looks like it's like a long it's a hot dog, but it looked like it had brisket and beans on top. Like it looked like a lot. Like it was pretty legit.
Yeah.
That's not on the lifting plan.
The fact there's no ribs.
I know.
Well, so that's the funny thing. It is on the lifting plan. Well, that used to be our coach Shork, who was the strength and conditioning coach for us. Used to, every time we hit a PR in the weight room, we used to get Pappy's ribs. That was our like our treat, right? And so I'm saying no ribs on there. That crushes my heart. 1, but 2, like no sweet potato fries as well. I mean, come on. That's why I had that Conklin summer, because I was trying to get gains in the Pappy's Smokehouse.
You could have got Willie Reed some more of those. He might have been able to play more in college, but oh gosh, let's talk about the men's basketball game against Santa Clara, because that's why you're here. You got to check out the boys.
Yep, I tuned in. It doesn't happen a lot when I'm overseas. Luckily, I'm home now. I've got some local channels, and I got an ability to finally, like we said, new energy, new era. Just kind of check it out and make my own opinions, like a true fan.
It's 2024, but the broadcast kind of felt a little bit like your games against like Valpo in 2012. It was kind of a hell of a broadcast, but on the court, I want to ask you a question because obviously the biggest news of this game was Robbie Avila's ankle, and you're a guy who has seen some ankle issues. When you saw that, what was your initial reaction, and what was your kind of like, oh man, this is how long?
This was a spitting image of what happened to me my sophomore year. I had pulled my ankle early workouts and was good, rehabbed, and then that first exhibition, whoever that was that we played my sophomore year, I rolled it in the game. And then it was like 2 days later, true season started, not exhibition games. And I played on my ankle, messed up that whole sophomore year. But he still got the same guy that I rehabbed with, Jonathan Birch, JB. JB is going to look after him, and the kid looks like a competitor. I mean, he's probably not going to be able to be himself here for a bit, but I mean, we all do it. You're never 100%. So, and the kid looks like he's got heart. So it'll be touch and go. I think there'll probably be some minute restrictions at the start, and they're gonna lean on him for how he feels, but and they're gonna be touch and go.
So you played all season on it, even though it was kind of tweaked.
I had to have surgery. Sorry, Peter. I had to have surgery at the end of the year.
So in an ideal world, how much time would you have, like after the injury, been able to kind of rest?
And he's got a great relationship with Shirts that I did not have. Well, of course, I had a great relationship with Coach, but Coach let me. I didn't practice. That if you ask any of the guys that sophomore year, I did not practice. I would play a game depending on the minutes that I played, and then maybe I'd play the day before or practice the day before a game to kind of find some rhythm to be able to be ready for the game. But if it was say we played Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, if we played Wednesday, I'd be back Tuesday. Nothing Sunday, Monday besides rehab, run on the underwater treadmill, do the arm bike, whatever you can do to just get through the season.
We got some news in this game that Kobe Johnson, one of the newcomers for the Billikens, was slated to start in a game time decision, but he was ruled out right before the game. Kellen Thames, the local kid, I want to get your take on what you saw from him in this game. And then, he got his second foul just over 3 minutes into the game. Shirts put him back in with 2 fouls. This was a sticking point with a lot of people with the Travis Ford era. I want to get your take after you give us kind of your take on Kellen Thames. The second episode in a row I've done that. I want to get your thoughts on the 2 foul hook.
It's great, and that just shows a coach that has trust. And I don't even want to say like new age coach, but it's something you have to have a feel for. And, you can't get stuck in your ways with we're hard set on this rule. You got to have that trust with a player, and that player then plays with that confidence. And you got to know too, like I mean, Coach Majerus used to have this set hard, fast rule of that per se. But then when we came to the season and it came to how he felt, he coached how he felt. And I felt like that you saw it when he went back in and he was able to play freely still. That's confidence the coach has in you, and you give him back by just proving that you're not going to pick up that third. And, I loved it. I mean, I love it. I hate when a coach benches me because it screws you up for the second half too, I feel like.
So do you have any hard and fast rules like that? Like 2 fouls, 3 fouls, you sit the rest of the half, or is it just one of those things where you feel as a player, you just got to trust your guys?
You got to trust your guys. I mean, I've had coaches do that to me, and that's why I say it messes me up, man. Like if you pick up that second and then like, okay, you're going to sit me the whole, first half. And then I come in, what happens? I pick up my third right away because I'm cold. I haven't done anything.
Right.
You could have played me. I could have maybe not got my third. Like, it's just the what if, could if, like, just let me play. The third's probably going to happen regardless. And, you just got to deal with it as it comes. And you got to, basketball's a game of runs. And, forbid that, Robbie's going to get in some foul trouble this year. And, we saw when he went out in this game against Santa Clara, things didn't go great. So you got to hope that, he's gonna ride with his guys and give them confidence and yeah, I don't like those steadfast rules. You got to just run with your dogs.
I'm curious, because Kellen Thames is going to be kind of has penciled himself in as the X factor. What did you like it from his game in this one?
No, I mean, obviously being able to knock down shots, but that Santa Clara team was super long, and so his ability with his athleticism and to be able to not be to be able to create right with that length, that's where we saw a lot of trouble. But being able to knock down shots with that, him and the Swope kid, I mean, they were able to really kind of open up lanes with the way they were able to shoot the ball. And like you said, being an X factor, not being able to slay it, not expected to start, and then coming in and still dealing with 2,000 the way he was able to play. That just is a confidence you like to see in a big time game for first game of the season.
Turnovers were a real issue for SLU in this game. They ended up with 17 overall in the game, but it felt like in the first half they just could not get in I know they had a run in the middle of the half, but for a lot of that half, they just couldn't get in a rhythm, and I felt like turnovers were a big reason why. Did you see anything in particular that you felt like was causing that?
And I just watched it, and I said it the whole time. It looked like the first game of the season. It looked like a new coach, and it looked like guys learning a system. There were guys that had been in a system before, but it looked like guys coming in, and it wasn't just this game because I watched more games that day. It was every game throughout the league or throughout the country. Everyone had first game jitters. All this movement that's happening right now, everyone was playing with new guys. You had coaches going into new systems. So everybody, there's a learning curve right now. So I could say with anybody in the country right now, you give it a month, and then that's when stuff's really going to start to settle. But everything was missed back cuts, missed timing on handoffs. Even Robbie, for as great a passer he is, he finished with 5 assists, I think 6, but he was missing guys on backdoors. That I'm like, he's already known as a good passer, but just feeling out who you're playing with, and it looked like first game jitters, just getting to know guys. That's where all those turnovers. I chalked every single one of those came up like that.
There was a point where the Billikens went on a 17-5 run. However, a sloppy finish had them down 48-41 at halftime. What do you see in teams that make those runs, that close out halves on those runs, and those who are on the ass end of those runs? What separates those teams?
A point guard, a leader, someone who is going to make that play to break that run both ways. Are you going to, if you're on the ass end of it, are you feeding that run? Are you taking quick threes or leading transitions? Are you turning the ball over? Or are you going to be the guy that's going to take that charge, get that extra possession? Are you going to go get that offensive rebound? Those are like, who's going to make that play to turn the tide? Who's going to stop that run? And that's what I'm looking to see from this team.
So the key play in this game, right, is Avila's ankle, rolling his ankle. He hits Jimerson in the corner. He makes that feed.
Great shot.
And I'm watching the ball. I'm watching Jimerson and like really excited, and then immediately realize like something's happened under the basket. It's Avila. We got to within 4 at that point. I mean, do you feel like I kind of felt like, okay, all the momentum's going in our direction. There's still a few minutes left in this game. We're in good shape here. What about you? Do you think SLU closes this out without that play?
I think they get it done. Like you said, things are trending that way. I saw Robbie, because we knew about the ankle, right? Everyone knew about the ankle. You're watching him the whole game. I'm watching the way he's running. First half, he didn't run at all. He's lumbering. He looks like Jokic lumbering up the floor, right?
Yeah.
Second half, I saw him sprinting the lanes. I saw him splitting the floor. I saw him getting position when when they were setting that up pick for him. Instead of faking the handoff, they were setting an up pick for him to be able to be the ball carrier. And that's how, that was the play that happened. He was more aggressive coming off that pick rather than lumbering into just a back down post up. And that was that play that happened. He came off with speed and he felt confident enough to get in the air to make that pass. It just sucks that's how it came, and it's not like you step on anybody. It's just literally you're up in the air. Your ankle's not used to that proprioception and just took a bad step. And like we talked about earlier, I've had those injuries and, it happens. It happens in ball and it sucks. I think he's going to be good. It's just, I want to see how he is aggressive after seeing what happened there.
I think it's an interesting, I think he'll be good, and I think he'll be, as you said, you're never at 100%, but I think he'll be, Robbie Avila by conference season. From me personally, I would shut him down till conference because, I think, I don't know. Where do you stand on that? Would you, I don't know. It's such a tough call because you want so badly to have this guy on the court that is here and he's your star, but also, you want to be as cautious as possible and really think about the potential this team has.
And that's where you're going to lean on that relationship between him and Shirts, because they have that relationship. They're talking to each other guaranteed more than they even talked to each other before, if possible, on how do you feel? Where are you at? We need you. We don't need you. We need your presence. Like whatever, there's conversations happening right now. And I think sitting out till conference is tough because as a rhythm guy, the way the offense is set up around him, like I was saying, he needs to have that confidence with some of those backdoors, like Jimerson. Like he's a great shooter, right? But I was actually mad this in Santa Clara game. He should take every shot he gets, and I felt like he passed up open shots. Or for him, he doesn't need much room, some stuff. But he was getting missed on back cuts because he's such a great shooter. Teams are going to just try and bully him over the top. He was actually cutting backdoor open on backdoors, and Robbie was just missing him. They need to get that connection together. So you can't sit out till conference. You want to build that somehow. And I mean, 6 weeks is a long time sitting out with an injury like this. So I think he'll be good in 3 to 4.
When you're watching these games, do you find yourself gravitating toward watching the bigs and how they play, or do you think you kind of have a broader view than that?
Way broader view. Thank you, Coach Majerus. That's what it is. I feel like I try and see. I just try and see everything. I try and see it from what would Majerus do, and how would he visualize this game. And the whole time I'm watching it, I actually gravitated towards the point guard, the Swope kid, because he reminds me of Kwame. He moves like Kwame. He shoots like Kwame. He hit big shots like Kwame hit big shots for us. And what I don't know his I get a chance to look it up before, but I know he played for Shirts before, correct?
Yeah,
he did at Indiana State. Yeah.
And how old is he? What how old is he?
He's a senior.
He's a senior, which I would have loved to say. You tell me he's a sophomore. Like I need to see him. I need to see him the mature Quam we had in junior senior year. Like he's a guy that he can control the game, and he's so explosive, and can hit big shots. But I want to see him be that run guy that we were talking about. Like I want to see him be that run killer with his heady play, not with a shot, but with how you play, how you slow the game down, how you get Jimerson a shot, how you get Robbie the ball where he wants it. Like I want to see him develop that over the next 8 months with this group.
Yeah, I think that's interesting. And of course you took the words right out of my mouth. You answered the question that I had before I even asked it, because I was going to ask you about Swope, because we were having a conversation, me, Peter, and a couple of other Billiken fans. And I said flat out, I don't trust Swope. And I was met with utter disgust. And I meant that like, I don't trust him yet, because as a Billiken fan, you are so locked in on every play that it feels like you're missing every shot. When you're missing, it seems like it's 3 missed shots rather than 1. Yep. I was curious to get your take on kind of his ability to get his own shot versus his ability to facilitate and draw defenders in and get other people open looks.
Yep, and exactly. And so he hit more shots in the second half, right? So that's why it's putting it more prominent. But we talked about Robbie's ankle twisting being the biggest play of the game, and I'm going to play devil's advocate and say Swope took over when he went down, and the biggest play of the game was, I think it was about a minute 40, minute 50 maybe. We're at a 2-point game. All you need is a 2. And he pulled up early and shot a 3, missed, and they take it and go in transition. We were cruising. He was hitting shots. Everything was looking great. And at that point, you want to run offense or you want to get a good look, good shot. And I understand he was cooking, but that was one that was like you had no rebounders. You're on the road, you're coming back. It's only a 2-point game, and he took that three. And for me, that was the biggest shot. That was the biggest play of the game because that's what I call like a make or die, like a make or break shot, And so that for me was the biggest play of the game. And that's why I say I want him to be a heady point guard. I want him to be able to realize we got to pull this out. We got to get good offense. We got to get our best look, our best shot, because we are cruising right now.
So a couple points on that. I mean, number one, with Kobe Johnson out, and I know you haven't seen him play before, but he's a like a grad. He's a fourth or fifth year player. He's a transfer from West Virginia, so he's got Big 12 experience. Really long wingspan. He's kind of a defensive minded guard, but he's one that they had more, and Shirts has different names for it, but more in that point guard role, right? So Swope was kind of being asked to do two jobs in this game, and he's normally not used to having that balance.
Yeah.
Which I think showed, because I think his shot selection at times, like in the play you highlighted, was not ideal. But I want to ask about, the offense in general, right? And even though we don't have the exact guard lineup in this game that we would have wanted, what do you see in this offense, and how would you kind of compare it to the Majerus offense? Because what I saw, and Stu Durando highlighted this in the lead up to the game, is I don't think I appreciated this at the time, right? With Majerus more than a decade ago, was just how many shots he was creating at the basket and open 3-pointers, and Shirts just does that in kind of like a little more modern NBA style. And I'm wondering, what similarities and differences do you kind of see between those two?
It's amazing. It's great comparisons and great talk, because it's all read and react. And that's where I get to these dribble handoffs, these picks for Robbie, the back doors. We had what we called our motion offense, which we didn't, it's Majerus, it was his bread and butter, right, at Utah. And we didn't use it as much. We used it, and we used concepts of it. And I feel like Shirts has the concepts of that read and react stuff. I felt lost in it as far as, like I said, the structure of guys understanding it, or guys just not reading and reacting to each other. Every time they wanted a good shot, they got one. As far as end outs, he ran. Sidelines he ran. Plays out of timeouts. Guys were getting shots. Like, you could tell if you charted it, every play they ran, they got the shot they wanted. And so I wish I saw. That's why I say I want a heady point guard. And so, like we're talking about Kobe, I wish I saw more plays ran, more specific plays, because that's when everybody was on the same page and everyone looked good. It's when we had to read and react. It's when I saw the disconnect with guys and their reads. And so it's going to be a fine balance. How much do you want to slow the game down and run those sets to get the shots we want? And how much do you want to get into our read and react and flow offense? We say a lot overseas, like flow offense. And so it's a great question. It's interesting, but it's the flow offense. It's the read and react. That's the Majerus Shirts. I love that. Yeah, I love that comparison.
One of the guys that really stepped up, not stepped up, he's stepped up his entire career. He had 16 points, and that's Gibson Jimerson. And I want to get your take on Gibson Jimerson, because I really think that if there was a Conklin on this team, and I've just showered you with so many accolades in this, they're gonna think I am like repaying you with compliments for coming on the show at this point. But I want to get your take on Jimerson, because I think he really does come from the guard version of the Conklin tough school of toughness.
Yeah, no, and I love the kid, and like I said, getting to sit down and finally watch him play, that wasn't a highlight on Twitter or a highlight on wherever, watching a full game and watching how he moves, and not just looking at a box score and say, oh, everyone says he's a good shooter. He took 10 threes. He made 4. Like, how is he getting his threes? Like, what is his shot preparation? To use Majerus words, like, he's a smart kid. He knows what he is. He's a shooter, but he also can get to the basket with back cuts. He can drive a closeout if he needs to. There was a bucket, a couple of big buckets on, like, the announcer was saying, oh, they let him get to the rim. He's not known for that. It was like, you could see he knows how to finish at the rim when you're going to overplay him for his 3-point shot. And that's why I say I probably watched him and Swope the most besides Robbie, as far as I want to see. I honestly, for the shooter that I've seen him touted to be and what he is, and in this offense, what he can be, I feel like there was at least 5 times I saw him. He could have taken 5 more threes that with how he shoots the ball could have helped us break a couple runs. And I felt like he passed up some good stuff.
We talked about how Jimerson has many facets to his game. You look at the box score, he's just a shooter. One of my favorite things he does is his ability to shield the ball going to the basket. Obviously, he's not the tallest guy. He's still 6'4", I think, 6'6".
He's at least 6'5".
Yeah, but he does such a beautiful job of shielding the ball. Who was a guy you played with at SLU that had kind of that ability to really play outside of their size and kind of keep defenders at bay, trying to, stop them going to the rim?
Dwayne, Dwayne was the same thing. Dwayne was about 6'6", but he played power forward for us. And then even after I graduated, I mean, he was a double machine, and he is now today still overseas. Like, Dwayne played bigger than he was, even from when he was a freshman and I was a junior. Like, he was one of those guys. He wasn't the shooter that Jimerson is, and he played bigger than he was, but he was able to shoot. You never really blocked his shot. Kyle was another good one, like as far as looking for that body type of Jimerson. He moved the same way. It was really hard to block his shot, but he was able to still get downhill and kind of get that momentum and extend to finish layups. I see similarities with both those.
Is there anything dumber than watching Dwayne Evans shoot like bunnies over that big guy from New Mexico State?
I mean, no, because I watched it and I just played in Japan against him this last year, and he's still doing the same stuff. I mean, he's been doing it his whole career. His touch around the rim and his ability to finish is, if you're playing against him, maddening. If you're playing with him, you just feed off it.
So he's made quite a career for himself over in Japan. Were you guys able to spend much time together?
It's a funny thing. It was literally my first game playing in Japan was.
I think we knew that. I think we knew that.
Yeah,
I think we heard that.
Yeah. So that was pretty cool because he had been over there I think already 3 years or so. But the only bad thing that came out of it was I tore my calf that game and didn't play the rest of the season. So that was my one and only game in Japan, but at least I got to play against Dwayne. So that was cool. No, we caught up, and it was great to see him. And it's always fun to see guys that you went to school with, how they blossomed in their careers. And, Kwame was still playing. I never got to play against him, but, he was in second division France when I was there.
You got to play with Wemby.
And just good stuff. Yeah. Vic was not. Speaking of rookies, Vic was my rookie. Yeah, I made him sing "Happy Birthday" to me in English. I'm waiting for the day that he gets MVP of the league. Probably, I think I got a video of him singing maybe like Beyonce or Boys to Men or something for rookie punishment. So yeah, I'm just waiting for some good times to drop some gold on that.
Oh, that's cool.
I need your call, since we just talked about Japan and France. Was the semifinal of the Olympics fixed?
I don't know. I'm still waiting on a job right now. So I can't get any federations mad at me right now.
Fair play. Well, go ahead, Pete.
So SLU has a forward right now who has aspirations of leading the A10 in rebounding, and he had 11 in this game. Kalu Anya, 6 points, 11 rebounds. Wondering what you saw from the new forward at SLU. Zach and I both kind of have we've talked about how he has a tendency to kind of disappear into a game, and then you look down at the box score and it's like, oh wow, this guy's been really productive.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was because I'm still trying to get names and stuff. There was a kid a couple of times tried to bring in a couple of turnovers. Is that him? I'm trying to
number 6.
Oh, man, it might have been. Yeah, number 6. It was him. Him. So I love it. I love the way he worked, and so another one of those. I wish I saw more heady play. I wish I saw a PG say, "Give it the ball up, give me the ball and go do the dirty work. Like, you did the dirty work, give me the ball, go run hard. Give it up to a passer, go run hard. You don't need to bring it yourself. But I liked how he played. I liked how, we talked about the size of that Santa Clara team. Like, he played. That's the one thing I thought we size. I mean, but then I realized how big that team was. I thought, to have 11 boards against a team like that was a decent night. And a couple more, like we said, a couple more shots go away, and injury doesn't happen, and we're talking about it in a different light. But I mean, everyone that played, I felt played the role they're supposed to play. It's the fine tuning that we're missing.
Yeah, I think a lot of I think it's so interesting because this offense is predicated so much on, basketball IQ and decision making. And I think that, with this offense being such a like you say, a read and react decision making, I think we're really not going to see, even if Avila's ankle is 100%, I still don't think we see this team playing at their potential for at least a month into the season, which is tough though in college basketball, and how the margin of error for mid majors.
Yeah, and we all want the Cinderella story of Shirts taking us to the tournament. He missed out on it last year. Him taking the Billikens back to the tourney this year, like that's Cinderella-esque, right, for us and for him, and it would be a great storyline for college basketball. But there is going to be a gap, and there's going to be a learning curve, and there's going to have to be patience on our side as fans. We've got the media on our side. They're going to follow him. They're going to follow Robbie. They're going to follow us in that story. And we just got to let them play it out, let them grow together as a group. And I think that's what's going to make them stronger in March, is them figuring out on their own.
One of the things I want to circle back to on Santa Clara is, we talked about their size, and I know the size of your lineup back when you were at SLU was probably pretty similar to what Shirts has rolled with here, and they're going to give up size on against a team like Santa Clara and some others coming up. And I'm wondering, how did you guys approach that when you knew you were giving up a size advantage at 3 or 4, maybe even 5 positions?
Toughness. Coach talked about toughness day in and day out. The amount of MFers Cody and I got for not being tough enough, and I played with Robbie, who was a 7-footer who ended up, shooting more threes. Cody, telling he was soft, but leading almost the nation in charges. Myself being soft, but yet setting deadly screens. Like, there's
video evidence of that
toughness. It did. And there's a guy that went nuts in the fans. I don't even want to say what you really looked like you were doing. But yes,
still my favorite video of me.
It's amazing just to watch it after a bad game. It's a good one to refer back to. But it's I don't know. I think we're going to be good. Going to be good.
All right, well, Conk, hey man, we Pete, any more questions? I think we've kind of talked this game. I feel like
you know what? I will ask about that screen on the last one, that Washington game. You set that legendary screen. Do you ever look back at that and think, you feel a little bit mad for, or bad actually for just killing a guy in front of thousands of people like that?
Let's put a name on the guy. That guy has family. That guy has family.
I just want to, at any point, do you kind of stop and reflect, like, maybe I did him a little too dirty there?
No, because that's just who I am. That's
what I want to hear.
That's just who I am. That's how I've always played. That's how I was raised. I don't know. I was playing the game how I was taught how it needed to be played. Yeah. I was told to set a screen, to hold my screen, to not, the amount of times coach, probably told me the fine line of, don't play dirty. I never played dirty. I just played hard. And
I don't know. There's some people in Australia that might disagree with you.
Exactly. Everyone's going to have their opinions. But like I've said before, it's not a soft sport. It's not. And it's a contact sport. And the more I watch it, the more I see I am getting away from it's lost its luster. Better screens. Free or flow offense. They gotta set better screens. They gotta free guys up. And so that's, I prided my game on it. I'm an undersized big, but being able to set a screen and get an advantage, I'll never be sorry for any screen I've ever set in my career.
It was a softball. That's what I wanted to hear. I got to say though, like looking back at that game, and I'll never forget that game, but being up 50-25 at halftime and running away with, a game against a power conference team like that.
A former coach.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. And it is amazing to me that over a decade later, we look back at that game and the play we remember the most is a screen, right? I mean, I think that speaks volumes for the kind of toughness you brought to the floor for SLU.
But it's the culture coach built too, right? Like it was just a mixture of so many things, and that was a turning point for our season. Not the screen, but that game.
Yeah,
it was the culmination of we're here. We don't care how big you are. We don't care what Terrence Ross was on that team. Dude went and had a great NBA career. Like it didn't matter who was on that team. We scouted you. We were going to out tough you. We were going to outplay you. We were going to we out scouted them. They didn't have a scout for me. Like I'm a West Coast. I'm a kid from the Pacific Northwest. I'm from their area. I would have loved to go to Washington. They didn't recruit me. I guarantee they didn't scout me. They didn't scout us. I end up having 25 on them. And then Romar comes to me after the game and it's talking to me and it's like, yeah, now you know me. Now you remember my name. But like just stuff like that. Like that's the culture coach built and brought, and we got that my senior year. It culminated into an NCAA tournament, baby. Like it just like fun stuff that memories I'll have. While I always loved SLU, and to be a 4-year guy at somewhere now and have that passion where kids are moving schools every year, every 2 years. It's just not going to be that same feel, same culture around a lot of places. So hope Shirts is here to stay. And build something special like Coach built with us, and I'm a Billiken until the day I die, baby.
Man, we can't wait we got to get you back on campus in Chaffetz, get you a well-deserved standing ovation. Man, it was great having you on. It was so great to catch up and see you again.
Zach, Pete, I appreciate you guys, man. This was awesome. Like I said, we're all excited about this season. We're looking forward to great things, and let's have some patience, but let's be fans, and we'll talk this tournament appearance into existence.
Absolutely, we'll have you back. We'll have you back on soon when they make the tournament to talk about the round 1 game.
Love it.
All right, man.
Appreciate
Take it easy.
Thanks, Brian.
Yeah. Pete, that was so much fun.
Yeah, he's fantastic. He's great to talk to. He knows his stuff, and it's great that he's watching these games, right? You never really know with players of a different era how they feel about the current era, and the fact that he's like, I'm SLU through.
He stuck, and he did, and he stuck with it. I mean, he was, again, I feel bad because he got a little caught in the crossfire last year, with frustration, obviously. Yeah, and I think it's just wonderful to have him as there's one of those, like, we don't have a brotherhood like a Duke. I mean, nobody really has that. But also, like, you look at VCU, look at Dayton, it feels like their alumni are there. Like and SLU, I don't know if we really have it the way they do. And it pains me to say it, but it feels good when you hear a guy like Conklin say he's been keeping tabs on it, because you really forget that these guys have a connection still.
For sure. And yeah, ours may not be as like cohesive or as well branded as a Duke or a place like that, but I guarantee that guy is I mean, we know how much of a fan favorite he is, right? If he were to decide to relocate to St. Louis or even just to show up for a weekend, the guy's never going to buy a beer in Midtown. I can put it that way.
Pete, let's move on to is it Avila or Avila?
Everybody was pronouncing it a different way on the broadcast. We might as well just say Avila so we are consistent with our player, right?
Yeah. Sorry, I was getting corrected from our pseudo producer in the background. 95-44 win versus Avila on Sunday the 10th. It was the home opener. It was a disappointing crowd. Pete, SLU, even in the good years, has really struggled with consistently filling the good seats.
Yeah.
I mean, even in some of those best years, there would still be open seats. Even in the Conklin years, there were seats that were open in the first 6 rows.
I was seeing reports that there wasn't a whole lot left on Ticketmaster before the game. And that's always kind of sometimes it can be a fool's gold with our program, right? Because a lot of that is just no-shows, season ticket no-shows. And haven't had a great audience for either of the exhibition games or this one now. And you just kind of hope like they start filling out over the course of the season, and I know we don't really have the headliners this year. But nevertheless, like as this thing comes together over the course of the year, I really hope it starts to thicken, the crowd.
And, when you see that Ticketmaster, I mean, those could have been papered, freebies, they might have papered a couple boys and girls clubs, stuff like that. But this one came together. Obviously, this was kind of a meme game. I think it's kind of a meme.
It was, and it's a shame we didn't have the healthy player on our side to make it as fun as it should have been. But credit to the university, Avila University. Their coach is a friend of SLU assistant Brett Putz, and the athletic director knows Corey Tate. So there were a couple connections. Apparently, they worked both of those. But our guy Robbie was injured for the game, unfortunately, and I think Schertz said it was kind of the whole point of the thing, but. Nonetheless, we needed a game, knew it was going to be a lower division game. They shot their shot and made it happen. And I think it's still pretty fun that it happened.
Yeah, this was a game that, with Avila out, really and Kobe Johnson out again, gave Schertz a chance to expand his rotation. See, maybe experiment with lineups. We saw a lot of Brockhoff and Pekar, but starting in place of Robbie Avila, not necessarily in his position, was Amari McCautry, and I loved what I saw out of Amari in the exhibitions, and I was excited by the way he played in this one.
We said after the exhibitions, and a lot of people said it's going to be hard to keep him off the floor this season just because you see these flashes in him, right? And even if Schertz is saying he's not playing winning basketball yet, he's not there yet. He's a freshman who doesn't look like a freshman, but he's a freshman. Even though he started in Robbie's place in the lineup, not necessarily his position, right? But he gives SLU the ability to kind of go bigger everywhere else in the lineup, except for Swope's spot, of course. So it's kind of like a chain effect. They just get a little bit bigger at every other spot. In terms of what he actually did in this game, it was a little bit of everything, Zach. He didn't score a ton, but he was a steal short of a quadruple nickel, 5 points, 5 rebounds, 6 assists, and 4 steals. He kind of just did a little bit of everything, and I thought he looked pretty good throughout.
Yeah, I really like the way he plays. I think he plays above his age. Yeah, I think he plays, he is physically beyond his years, I think, as well. This game kind of started out a little slow for the Billikens. A few missed 3-pointers. And Avila, not Robbie, started with a 4-0 run. And SLU answered with 14 straight. Most of them being threes.
I think the first 2 threes were from Jimerson and Swope. And then we scored the next 8 after that as well. But then they kind of went on another run, right? So the game got to within 19-18 with about 9 minutes left in the first half. And people are getting a little restless at this point from what I was kind of seeing and hearing in the crowd, what I was seeing online. They just got too much too easily at the rim. Some of that was off of second chances. They did hit a few contested mid-range jumpers that were kind of tough, not the kind of thing you expect them to hit. So it was a little frustrating there. I think Schertz called a timeout, and then we had the media a minute and a half later. But over the course of that, SLU responds with a 16-0 run, and they never really got close after that, right? So it's a 44-26 lead at halftime. And, there's some pluses, there's some minuses. It wasn't ideal, but you got to keep in mind we're missing 2 starters. He's experimenting with lineups. This almost felt like more of an exhibition game to me, so I wasn't taking the score too seriously.
No, I wasn't really either. And I think a lot of, like, at least I don't know if it's uneasiness, but a lot of it was just me kind of, I think without Robbie, without Kobe, I think, and it being a division or an NAIA team, I think it just kind of deflates the occasion of I think both you and I have talked about how it kind of deflated the idea of the home opener.
Yeah, you don't necessarily expect a headliner for the home opener, but a D1 school somewhere people have heard of. And even though this school's in Kansas City, it's like there's several other schools in Kansas City that we've heard of, before this one, right? So it's just I think people want a reason to come out. It's a holiday weekend. It's a 3-day weekend. It's a NFL Sunday afternoon. I know there's just a lot going on for people. So not ideal circumstances. I still would have liked a little bit better crowd than this. But it does deflate it, Zach. But nevertheless, you look at halftime, and the brightest spot, I think, in the first half, Gibson Jimerson has 21 points at halftime. He winds up finishing the game with 28 points in 26 minutes, 6 for 11 from 3. So he was 3 off his career high. He's still a few points away from the top 5 in all-time scoring, and if he hits a couple 3-pointers in the next game, he's gonna pass Monroe Douglas and get there. But I thought Jimerson was a really bright spot in this game, Zach.
Yeah, I mean, it really felt like a get the ball to Jimerson game. Yeah. It's amazing how open our 3-point shooters seem to be.
Yeah.
And it really does feel, and I know it's a division or an NAIA team, but like, I don't even notice why they're open. That's the thing. Like, I'm a dum-dum. But it feels like all the times that the other teams were just wide open on threes against us.
Yeah. So Jimerson, I mean, like we saw how hard he had to work during the Ford era to get open, right? And this offense is really designed to get him open. And you'll see a lot of different actions to have him open on the wing or in the corner sometimes. And a lot of it involves screens, sometimes multiple screens. He really knows how to play off of those things. And when you're talking about an NAIA school, these guys are just nowhere near the size, the speed, the athleticism of some of the defenders he's going to face the rest of the season, or already did against Santa Clara. It was just kind of easy pickings for him. You knew he was going to get open a lot. And 6 of 11 from 3 is something you'd take from anybody, even your best shooter.
28 points he finishes in 26 minutes, 6 of 11 from 3. Thames, another he's just a blast to watch, man.
Yeah. Second game in a row, he finishes the first half with double-digit points, 10 to go with 6 rebounds, and then he ends up finishing with 16 and 8 with 4 steals, which was a career high for them. But this was my favorite stat for him, or any individual, honestly. Plus 42 in terms of plus minus. He was by far the leader in plus minus. To have a plus minus that is higher than the number of minutes in a game is pretty amazing. And I think that speaks volumes to everything he was doing on the floor in this game.
I think my biggest disappointment with Kellen Thames in this game was that I stood up when he got on the fast break all alone, and then he got kind of chased down and almost double dribbled, and I was just pissed because I was ready for a monster jam.
Yeah, that one got a little bit botched. But that's all right. I thought he played a good game overall. Somebody who wasn't playing a good game for a long time, Zach.
I need to apologize to this player.
Okay.
Because at halftime, I ran into a buddy of mine, and we were talking about the guys, and he said, Kellen Thames grew 6 inches. What the hell?
Mm-hmm.
And then somebody said Hugh. He said something about Hughes. I said he's bad, and I apologize to Larry Hughes II for saying this, and he showed me I'm a fucking idiot in the second half.
He showed you what he's capable of doing when he's at his best, right? Because like in the first half, he was bad. He didn't have a great start to the second half either, but all of a sudden he started to find his shot. And next thing you know, he's 5 of 8 from 3, 15 points, 5 rebounds. And it's like, okay, this is why you're here. This is what you do.
Wasn't it four threes in a row?
I believe so. Yeah. Because he had missed his first couple shots.
I don't care who you're playing against. That's ridiculous.
It is. Yeah, he was just feeling it. And look, as long as we've been paying attention to Hughes, even in high school at CBC, he would have a game or a half like this, and then kind of disappear for a while. Maybe a game and a half, maybe 2 games. It's kind of happened his first couple seasons at SLU, and it's still kind of happening now. But this is where he reminds you what he actually is capable of doing. So it's just a matter of kind of getting that consistency from him and seeing this effort throughout a whole 40-minute game from game to game, just be more consistent. You don't need to go 5 for 8 from 3, but as long as you're not going like 0 for 5.
One player who struggled from the field in this one was Isaiah Swope. He went 2 of 10 from the field, 1 of 9 from 3. And I guess really if you're going to be off in a game, this seems like a good one to do it in. He did have 4 assists, only 1 turnover and a steal. He was second on the team in assists in this one. I thought he was really he wasn't making shots. And we talked with Brian, we talked with Conk about, making heady plays. And I thought he really did well to kind of defer on a night that he wasn't having a good game.
Yeah, and he still took 9 threes. In the previous game, he took, I think, 14, if I remember correctly.
If he would have taken 14 in this one, I might have told him to pack his bags.
He's a volume shooter. He is a little bit of a streaky shooter. He was a little bit of a streaky shooter last year, but he still, over the course of the year, put together a really nice, respectable, shooting percentage. This wasn't his game. Everything was a little bit short. There were a couple that he was kind of even off to the side a little bit, like he put, from the wing, he'd kind of put it on the back of the rim sort of thing. So yeah, it just didn't look like the shot was there tonight. I don't think his shots were bad. He wasn't taking bad shots by any means. They just weren't falling. But again, this is the kind of thing, it doesn't matter against this team necessarily. If you're going to have an off night, fine. There are going to be games where if he goes 2 of 10 for the field, 1 from 9 from 3, that could actually be a deciding factor. So hopefully whatever it was in this game, if he was tired, if he was not feeling 100%, hopefully he's got it out of his system so that he for the next game when we're actually playing a little bit better teams, that he's ready to go. Come off of mute, Zach.
I was chewing some ice. Sorry. You guys will appreciate that I was muted. 12 different players in this game, all who were available appeared. Everyone except Jaden Schertz scored. Every scholarship player played at least 9 minutes. Schertz and Holmes played over 9 minutes each, or over 5 minutes each. One stretch of the game I really kind of enjoyed sitting back and just kind of seeing what we had. And that was the time where Pekar and Brockhoff were in together. And I really enjoyed watching them patrol the paint, especially Brockhoff.
I really did too. They are they're unique players. I like their skill sets. I think they're going to be good. They both did some things in this game that, I think they probably would like to have back. And I'll get to Schertz's. Well, actually, I'll just do Schertz's quote now, which I really liked. He said, "That's the biggest value of this game, the chance for guys to play through mistakes. Everybody off the bench, to me, was frantic. They're playing so fast that they're not playing well. So the second half, to be able to go back to that's another chance." I think he's just saying, like, this might have been a game where some of these guys only play 3 to 5 minutes, in a normal game. And in this game, they're playing 9 to 20 minutes, somewhere in there. And so they had an opportunity to make mistakes and keep playing. And that was really satisfying to me. We've seen it throughout the years where guy comes in, misses a shot, makes a turnover, gets yanked. He's played 1 or 2 minutes in the game, and that's it. And now he's got to sit there and stew about that, right?
Durando?
Different spelling.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
So in this game, like we see them to be able to miss shots, and in Picard's case, to miss free throws and still come back, make some good plays. And I think they're going to be feeling a lot better about that, right? Like mentally going forward, the fact that they had an opportunity to play through those mistakes.
Yeah, I think Conklin hit the nail on the head in talking about the Santa Clara game. Not only do they have a chance to work themselves through mistakes, but also they're gaining that confidence that coach believes that I'm not going to ruin this game. Like that, my mistake is not going to cost us a game. That I won't make the same mistake twice. That's the confidence that's being instilled in these bench players, and I mean that's going to come into great usefulness when you get late in the game and maybe we have a guy foul out, and then you've got to go to a Brockhoff or a Picard or a I don't know, even a Hughes.
Yep.
So.
Yeah, 100%. And it's not just my mistakes aren't going to cost us, but it's the things that I do well are going to help us win. And so he wants to lead me in for that reason. It's you get both sides of the coin mentally, and I think that's good for the freshman.
I turned to one of my roommates today, and I said, it was about 5 minutes into the first half. I said, we may shoot 33s in the first half. We shot 41 3-point attempts. We had 41 3-point attempts, a program record. I'm sure that shatters it.
Yeah.
They hit 14 of them, not a record.
Yeah. So it was 24 in the first half. So close. We got close to 30, and then another 17 in the second half. It's funny because I knew we were kind of shooting at a high volume, but it didn't occur to me that it would be an all-time record, right? As it turns out, the all-time record was 39. And if you can believe it, it came in that NCAA tournament game against Wake Forest in 95.
Wow.
I would never.
That makes sense. That makes sense though.
I would still not have ever guessed that was it.
Oh, I wouldn't have guessed it without I would have never guessed it. But you saying the Clag at Highmark, era, like the spoon ball. Yeah, totally.
I just wouldn't have thought it would be that particular game, right? Because it wasn't a super high scoring game or anything like that. But anyway, it's a record.
It's funny you mentioned spoon ball era, because after the game, the Billiken basketball Twitter account, I believe referred to this as shirts ball, which I feel like the reaction could go one of two ways on that one.
Which are what?
Well, I mean, super embraced it, or like people are like, oh, leave it, let that be its own thing. I don't know. Maybe I just care too much.
You do get hung up on like branding and slogans and things like that.
Oh yeah.
I know.
By the way, no Billiken clap that I heard. I don't believe it unless I missed it. But thank you guys. Thank you.
Yeah.
None of the forced kind of fan participation. So I appreciated that.
Yeah. And then again, on to get back to the 3-point stuff, Zach, on the other side of the coin, Avila, we'll call them, went 0 for 11 from 3. It's the first time since January 1st, 2011, against Bowling Green that SLU did not allow a 3-pointer. I believe I was at that game, and I would not have remembered that was a 0 3-point game.
You know who played in that game?
Brian Conklin?
Yes, he did. Yes, he did.
Yeah, he's, guarding that perimeter, locking it down.
Let's talk about the next up for the Billikens, and that's Loyola Marymount, November 16th at Chaffetz Arena. The Lions will enter this game coming off 8 days of rest following UC Irvine, who they hosted. They lost that game after starting that season with a 99-56 win over lower division Life Pacific University, which is not the weirdest name lower division team that I've seen. I've seen some Bishop Sycamore ass college names.
Yeah.
But Pete, what do you see from Loyola Marymount? I was not super impressed with them in their Irvine game. I watched a little bit of it.
Yeah, not necessarily. So they're picked to finish sixth in the West Coast Conference this year, right? So middle of the pack. Stan Johnson's their head coach. His top assistant is none other than Lorenzo Romar.
Unbelievable. We can't get rid of this guy.
I mean, I love me some Lorenzo Romar.
Oh yeah,
so I'll be happy to see him on the sideline again. And you know who he brought with him is Javon Porter, one of the Porter brothers, the famous, infamous basketball brothers. He's a transfer from Pepperdine.
You mean brother of Jonte, who is now banned from the NBA for life,
or Michael, who's an NBA champion. They've got the whole gamut.
They're a wide spectrum.
That's right. They've got the whole set of experiences possible. But he was so he scored 19 and 12 against UC Irvine. He actually didn't play in the Life Pacific game. I don't know if he was hurt. I didn't. I wasn't able to figure that out. But he was.
Wait, one of the porters might have been hurt. Holy shit! This is breaking news.
I know. He was their sole representative on the preseason all conference team. So I think people realize how good he's going to be. I mean, he's been in the conference already. They know what he can do. He's 6'11", he's 235, he's got great size. He's going to be a tough matchup without Robbie Avila in the lineup. There are other starters. They've got Myron Arney, who goes by MJ, 6'2".
I would too.
Yeah, 6. He's maybe not that level of player. He did score 20 against Life Pacific, but only 4 against Irvine. 6'2" guard. He's kind of a shooting guard. Alex Merkviladze is a 6'8", 225-pound grad student forward. He had 22 in the first game, but then against Irvine, he goes 0 for 9 from the field. So maybe a little bit of a streaky shooter there as well. Will Johnston's their 6'3" senior point guard. He's a nice distributor, and he's 5 for 9 from 3 so far this season. So you can't give him a lot of room on the perimeter. And then Matar Diop is a 6'10", 225-pound sophomore forward who he hasn't done much on paper yet. His numbers aren't great, but he does give them additional size, and that's a challenge for SLU when you couple it with Porter, with the 6'8" guy that, not quite as big as Santa Clara, but they've got some real size out there. And the other reason why is because they've got 3 guys, Caleb Stone Carrawell, Jan Vide, and Aaron McBride, who are wings, all kind of in the 6'6", 6'7" range, and they've played decent minutes off the bench. So that's kind of the rotation. And you really, aside from the guards, everybody's going to be 6'6" to 6'11", and that's a pretty big team. Now, losing at home by 15 to UC Irvine, who's not a bad team, but still, like, I don't know. It seems like maybe there's some pieces here. They just need to put it together.
I love when I get to see these West Coast teams. You don't I forget that Pepperdine exists. Just like I forget the Mariners exist.
They just play so late, right? You don't.
Yeah, like Loyola Marymount. That's a name that has some juice within college basketball, I think, for a lot of reasons.
Oh yeah.
So I'm excited to see them come to town. Do we want to talk about what exactly the Billikens look like without Robbie Avila?
Sure. I mean, I think we saw our first glimpse of it today. If we're taking Schertz's word at face value about the trigger position, the only other guy at that position is Killian Brokoff. But we know Casey got some run at the trigger spot in practice when Robbie was out after the scrimmage. Anya is also going to have some time at this spot, but it just feels like without him there, we just don't have. Everybody's kind of out of position a little bit, right?
Yeah, I kind of, I wanted to come on here and kind of pontificate about how I want to see Max Picard get some time in that position. And you know what? I really liked what I saw from Brokoff in this one as well. I thought he, both of them looked the part of college basketball players in this one. Obviously, it's a lower division, but I really want to see them get some run. I talked about how much I enjoyed watching them play together.
Yeah.
Mid second half, I think late first half and mid second half as well. And I think really with Picard and Brockhoff, of course, you slot them into that Robbie role. They bring a little bit of what Robbie can do on offense, but I think they bring more than what Robbie brings on defense. And I think that's where you can really kind of account for Robbie's absence on the aggregate.
Yeah, I think that makes sense. And part of the reason you do see them at the same time is because they see Killian as a trigger man, but they see Picard as a 6'11" guard, essentially, right? Like they look at those guys, and you and I might look at them and think there's these young, big, similar builds, similar skill set. But they don't see them like that at all. They just see them as different positions. So we could see them run together some more coming up.
I mean, I think that people's eyes were opened a little bit to Picard tonight. By the way, shout out to the two dudes leaving Chaffetz who said that Bruce Zhang was better than anybody but Robbie in the front court. That's just completely wrong. I'm sorry. I got to call you out for that. That's crazy. Picard, I love how shifty Picard is in offense. And, just because they're slotted in as those offensive positions does not mean they still cannot defend the 4 and 5 on the defensive end.
Right. Yeah, they've got great length. Good feet, too.
Yeah, and I think when they're in there with the lack of size that Avila brought, I think they just were able to kind of be trees among, I don't know, just squirrels, I guess. You know what I mean? They weren't going anywhere near the hoop.
Especially against a team like this today.
Right. Let's go around the A10 real quick. We've got a ton to talk about, including an Atlantic 10 championship for the Billikens. But let's go around the A10 first before we get to women's basketball and then, of course, women's soccer. Monday the 4th, St. John's 92, Fordham 60, Davidson 88, William Peace 47, St. Bonaventure 70, Cal State Northridge Toreros 56, UMass, I hope I got that right. I think that might be Gauchos, but I don't know. Doesn't matter. UMass 103, New Hampshire 74, Dayton 87, St. Francis PA 57, Mason 75, North Carolina Central 58, VCU 84, Bellarmine 65, St. Joe's escapes Navy 70-63. What a shit show St. Joe's is early on.
Yeah.
LaSalle 65, American 52, Rhode Island 96, Fairfield 58, GW 76, Mercyhurst 59, Lipscomb 77, Duquesne 72. Loyola narrowly wins the Battle of Chicago 79-72 over State College. Let's talk about Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, Pete.
Richmond 101, Mount Olive 68 in the only Wednesday game. The only Thursday game, Loyola 87, Detroit 65. And then on Friday, St. Joe's and Billy Lang lost to Central Connecticut 73-67.
That's a dynasty starting team and college hoops. That's the bottom of the barrel.
Yeah. And I think they are supposed to be one of the better teams in that conference this year, the NEC, but that's one of the worst conferences. So, ouch. West Virginia 75, UMass 69.
Nice.
George Washington 82, Hampton 54. Rhode Island 91. They're scoring a lot in the early going. Holy Cross 77. Davidson 91 on the road at Bowling Green 85. VCU 80. Boston College 55. Good Lord. Princeton 75. Duquesne 68. That's an 0-2 start for the Dukes. Marquette 82. George Mason 63. It took Marquette a while to pull away in that one. And Zach, what happened on the weekend?
Saturday the 9th, Fordham 57, Seton Hall 56, LaSalle. Yes. I did not get to see this. I was busy watching. By the way, remember when I just shit on Georgia Tech for not having any sort of branding?
Yeah.
And then they just beat Miami? Good for them. I love that. I love the fitted Georgia Tech hat. We need to bring Georgia Tech back.
This Fordham Seton Hall game was at Seton Hall's on campus.
Yes, I saw that.
Not the downtown
arena. What a nice little disrespect.
Yeah, it was, and Fordham won on this ridiculous left-handed runner. It was insane.
LaSalle 81, Lafayette 60, Bonaventure 87, Canisius 78. I saw a guy wearing a Bonaventure t-shirt at the marathon. He was running the marathon. Marist 79, Richmond 72. Dayton escapes with a win at home against Northwestern 71-66. And then Loyola apparently played Eureka High School and won 105-53.
I did not know there was a Eureka College.
There's a college for everything, man.
Yeah,
dude, did you know there's a Blue Mountain College? And they're the toppers, but like the mascot is actually kind of like a goat, which is like Blue Mountain State, the TV show.
Amazing.
That's off your radar or no?
I've heard of the TV show. I've never watched it, but I know.
I can't imagine. It's not really. I don't know if that's a Pete show.
No,
it's not. Let's talk some women's basketball, man. Huge start for the women. This was. I don't think we saw this coming.
We didn't, Zach. I said if they come back with one win out of these first two, I'll be thrilled. And they did. 85-83 win at South Dakota on Monday the 4th. Unfortunately, we couldn't watch the game live, Zach, because it was on the Summit Network, which is part of the Midco Sports Plus network. They wanted $9.99 for the stream. Of. Right. Yeah, I think it's a regional thing up there in the northern Midwest. But South Dakota put out a 13-minute condensed game video on YouTube, which you alerted me to, and I thought it was great.
It is. These are the kind of things, like, I've been asking SLU to do this, and I don't know. Again, I am happy to be off base that they can't do this, and it's like some TV rights thing, putting it on YouTube. I don't know. But like the Blues have been doing this forever.
Mm-hmm.
The NHL does this. It's amazing. And I just love to see, I'd love to see SLU do it, because I think it's a great way to kind of advertise your program. And anytime you can get your games in front of people, whether that be highlight packages or not, like, it's just easier to see what happened in the game. It's a better narrative, I think.
And not only that, not only giving us this Cliff's Notes version for those of us who couldn't watch it, I thought the feed, like the video quality and the broadcasting that was, clipped in this 13-minute summary of the game was fantastic. It looked great. It was like ultra high definition. It sounded great. The broadcasters were really good. I think they did a great job with it. So credit to the Summit and South Dakota. It's just a shame that it was, behind a paywall.
It was no Field of 68 broadcast.
That's for sure.
The Billikens led by as many as 17 early in the third quarter. South Dakota chipped away over the course of the second half.
Yeah, they did. They even had a 3-point lead with about a minute and a half left. SLU then made some free throws to retake the lead, but South Dakota hit a layup at the buzzer to send it to overtime. And, SLU won it from there. Peyton Kennedy had 25 points, including the game winner in overtime, and tied a school record by going a perfect 12 of 12 from the free throw line. I think when she's on like this, Zach, they're going to be a little bit harder to beat, right? It's not every game you get the best version of Peyton Kennedy, but when you do, and it's against a team, that isn't like a top 100 team or whatever, SLU's just going to be hard to beat. She's that good.
Yeah, I love watching Peyton Kennedy play, man. She's just so smooth, so fluid, just very efficient. If she's open, she's not missing. Kennedy Calhoun finished with a career-high 21 points, 8 rebounds. Little Kennedy Calhoun, 8 rebounds. That's when you know your bigs are doing their job. When the little players are getting the rebounds.
Mm-hmm.
We saw it a ton with those Majerus teams. 4 assists, 3 steals, and a block. Brooklyn Gray added 15 and 7. And I want to talk about Brooklyn Gray because I think I noticed a comparison between Brooklyn Gray and Isaiah Swope. And that is, they both look like they travel every time they put the ball on the floor. And I swear to God, I don't know how nobody calls it.
Brooklyn Gray has kind of an old school style. I know I've compared her to like the old guy who shows up at the Y and is that kind of player who looks like they're just stretching the rules every time they have the ball and they swear what they're doing is totally legal. She has a little
just
bit
a
of that.
crab dribble, bro.
Yeah, exactly. She has a little bit of that to her game, but she really can be an effective player for SLU, a number 2 to Kennedy as a scorer. And we need her to be doing her thing this season.
Shuntaria Anumale. I'm going to say Anumale because I don't think
That's what I've been saying, but now we're 2 for 2 in broadcast where they've been saying Anumeli.
Yes. So somebody reach out.
Yeah, let us know.
12 points in her collegiate debut. She was outstanding, stood out tremendously, especially in the highlight packages. And then we'll talk about her more in the Drake game.
Yeah, she really looks the part. Tiara Simon led SLU with 13 rebounds to go with 6 points.
She's incredibly important. Like, I think her having a good game it changes the game for SLU. It adds that inside presence, especially on the glass and defense.
Yeah, totally game-changing presence. And speaking of another freshman who has that kind of ability as well, Hannah Wallace had 33 minutes off the bench after playing sparingly in the exhibition game. She only had 2 points, 5 rebounds, and 3 blocks, but she's another one who looks very game ready for a freshman.
Looks the part. I just think she doesn't move, like a freshman. She's not built like a freshman. And I just think she's one of those players who just looks focused and in control. Mm-hmm. The way she moves on defense, I think she's got great feet and is really good positionally.
Good size too.
Yes. Still, the rotation is still open. I think she might just be kind of playing the matchups, might be riding the hot hand. Again, might be out managing injuries. Outside the top 5, we really just don't know yet. The major concern in this game was really the 3-point shooting. 2 of 18 from 3. However, they did get to the line 26 times and converted 23 of those.
Yeah, that kind of puts to rest some of the concerns we had about free throw shooting in the exhibition games, which wasn't really good at all. Closing out games is still a concern, still an issue, but it's a road game and they ultimately pulled it out. So this is one of those that no matter how you win it, the win is what matters here. And like we said before, if they win either of these first 2 games, it would be a successful road trip. So this was a really nice season opening win before they headed to Drake for a really tough contest. Zach, on mute again. You had to quit chewing that ice, man.
I know, it's bad for my teeth.
It is.
I honestly, I talked to myself about maybe a quarter of the way through this game that they were going to win this game easy. Like, I don't know. I just thought they had the magic. And then they kind of ran out of gas there in the middle of the fourth quarter.
They ran out of gas in a big way, and the score doesn't make any sense if you actually watch this game.
I still thought it was a 15-point loss.
Yeah. No, it felt like about 15, but it wound up being 95-70 at Drake on Thursday the 7th. And like you said, SLU ran out of gas in the middle of the fourth quarter. Drake ran away with it from there, but this game was a lot closer than the score shows. Drake's bigs, really, really good, Zach. Skilled, smart, always in position. They drew a lot of fouls, or they just kind of got clean finishes. SLU was just really outclassed in the front court. Simon and Glanton both got into foul trouble, 4 fouls each. That was a big part of the story here. And defensive rebounding was a struggle because of that. Drake had 43 rebounds to just 27 for SLU. And it didn't help SLU either that Drake had a few players who just couldn't miss for 3. Hawthorne and Miller combined to go 7 for 10 from outside. The team overall went 13 for 35. So Drake is a top 75-ish team. They were an NCAA tournament team last year. They were picked to win the Valley again this year. They're really good. And the fact that we went almost 35 minutes toe-to-toe with this team, I think speaks volumes.
Yeah. And on a rare off night for Peyton Kennedy, just 2 of 14 from the field, 1 of 6 from 3. The Billikens were 6 of 25 from 3. Again, this team has got to find their 3-point legs. Out of the way. Again, real positives to take away from this performance. Again, like you said, playing with a good Drake team for 35 minutes. Shantaria Numale, she scored 26 in this one, 9 of 23 shooting. A lot of her misses came late in kind of desperation or garbage time.
Yep.
I think she's the real deal, Pete.
She really is. Looking the part. I mean, if you're a freshman in game 2 scoring 26, I mean, that's like a Larry Hughes number. Like she's a revelation, I think.
Against Drake.
Drake's a really good team. And even though I think the bigs were the toughest matchup here, it's crazy that one of the reasons the guards weren't a tough matchup is because of our freshmen. Really incredible. And then another good performance at the free throw line is something we can hang our hats on. 20 for 21. SLU only had 11 turnovers in this game, which I think is a good number. And they had 11 steals on the other end. So I'll take that. And with this team, I think I'll take that in most games. Maybe not any game, but most games. This was a single-digit game, Zach, with 5.5 minutes left, 5:32 left in the game. 9-point deficit. I know it doesn't make sense, but Drake ended up outscoring SLU 29-12 in the fourth quarter. SLU missed their last 7 field goals starting after the 3:45 mark, and they were 1 for the last 12 overall. Meanwhile, Drake just shot well in the fourth quarter, 8 of 14, 4 of 8 from 3, 9 of 10 from the line. You could see it in the way SLU was moving. You could see it in the way their shots were short. They were just gassed.
Yeah.
And that was that. But it's a shame that the score looks like that because they really were good overall in this game.
Yeah. Monday, Thursday, 2 road games. I mean, bench not really existent. It's going to be tough to beat a team of that caliber, or any team for that matter. Next up, the Billikens come home and they open up their Shea Fitz slate with Illinois State. The Redbirds are 1-0, 81-77 win over Northwestern up in Evanston. 5'10" Shannon Dowell leads them in scoring at the guard position with 23 points per game. I guess 23 points in the first game.
Just one. Yeah, small sample size.
6'1" Addison Martin had 11 rebounds in this game, and they were 22-12 last season. Only picked to finish 7th in the league this year. Pete, talk to me about the Screaming Eagles.
Sunday the 17th, SLU will head to Evansville to play Southern Indiana. The Screaming Eagles beat lower division Brescia University.
Brescia?
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. I've seen it in print before, but I've never heard it said. 100-49 in their home opener, and then they lost to number 17 Louisville 75-51 on Friday night. So playing a ranked team and a lower division team, I really don't quite know what to make of them yet. They were actually picked to win the Ohio Valley Conference this season, but one of their top players, the starting 6'2" center Maddie Webb, played just 6 minutes of the first game and hasn't played since. So I've got to think she's hurt, but I have not been able to verify that anywhere. There's not a lot of news on Southern Indiana basketball out there. So I don't know what's going on there and whether she'll be available again or not. They do have 2 more games before the SLU game on Sunday, so that'll probably tell us a little bit more about whether she's back or how good they actually are, Zach. But to me, it looks like 2 winnable games, but 2 tough games, especially because that Southern Indiana one's on the road.
Yeah, I'm excited to see how they play. I'm excited to see them in action if I can get out there. Not sure about Tuesday, but we will see. Pete, let's talk about some pickles, man. Let's hear about 2 men.
Let's do it. And Zach, you know what I need that I have not been able to get and is not on their website, unfortunately, is the Harissa sauce from Oof. 2 Men in a Garden. And that I know is at Straub's in St. Louis. And luckily I am going to be coming in over Thanksgiving. I think I'm going to be able to make a couple Billiken games that week in our MTE leading up to the Thanksgiving holiday. And somewhere in there, one of those mornings, I'm going to head over to Straub's or maybe the Schnucks right by my parents' house. And I'm going to see if I could find some of that harissa sauce so I can bring a few jars back to Cincinnati because I like to cook Mediterranean. I like Middle Eastern food. I like a lot of foods that sauce goes really well with. And I don't have it in my fridge right now and I'm craving it. And while it's not on their website, they've got a lot of other great stuff. Head over to twomeninagarden.com and see what you can find for yourself, or head over to any local Schnucks or other grocery store, Straub's, Dierberg's, whatever in the St. Louis area. And maybe you'll find some more good surprises there. But twomeninagarden.com will have most of your needs covered.
Pete, women's soccer take home the A10 Championship. But let's kind of Tarantino this and go back and talk about the preseason awards real quick and a little bit of drama. Let's start with Defensive Player of the Year. It went to Lindsay Heckel, no doubt. Emily Gaby snagged Offensive Player of the Year. Again, no doubter. Both were named to the all-conference first team. Sophia Stram and Julia Simon made the second team. Hope Kim was named to the rookie team, and by God, she has just gotten better every game. She was outstanding in this tournament. Katie Hauk, Emily Percelli, all academic team. And Pete, if you'll notice there, I didn't mention goalkeeper of the year going to Emily Percelli because it went to Katie Capoletti of St. Joe's. And I tell you what, there are 3 really good goalkeepers in this conference. But I think Percelli and Shields took issue with this.
Yeah, flash to the the Jordan meme. I took that personally from the Last Dance documentary. I think Shields especially. Look, I mean,
wildly candid here.
Yeah, so the crazy thing, Zach, is okay, they give Capoletti goalkeeper of the year, so she's the one on the first team naturally, but then they give the second team honors to Batul Rita of Dayton.
It would have been UMass goalkeeper, I thought.
Yeah, another possibility.
I mean, again, too, I didn't even think about Batul.
Yeah, and this is despite Percelli leading the league in goals against average by a mile. She's first in save percentage, just barely ahead of Capoletti, but still first. And then she's second in shutouts, despite being taken out of 3 games where she had the shutout and combined to maintain that shutout with her replacement. Right? It's like a staff no hitter almost.
Nah.
And she's getting penalized for those. Essentially, she just faces fewer shots than other keepers in the league because she plays behind such an experienced back line. Katie Shields, Zach, said it enraged me about the league's decision to snub Percelli. So hopefully this motivation that carried through the past couple of games, as we'll get to, continues to carry on to the NCAA tournament. Any little motivation you can get, I think you got to run with this time of year.
The Billikens were sitting at RPI 25 heading into Sunday's game against UMass. But first, they had to take on number 5 seed St. Joe's in the A10 semifinal. Wednesday, 6th at Herman Stadium. The Hawks had the game's first good chance on a breakaway, and Percelli came out to save it. They didn't threaten much after that, but a little puckering there for a second.
Yeah. To start that game, I think that was like the 4th minute. Yeah. And if that one got by her, the whole tenor of this game could have been different. But Zach, luckily, 21st minute, Lucy Schwartz had her shot blocked by Hope Kim. The ball went right to Julia Simon, who put it past A10 goalkeeper of the year, Katie Capoletti, for a 1-0 lead. And that was one of those goals where you thought, like, oh no, like for a split second. When it hit our own player, it was just like, oh, tell me that's not going to be happening all game.
Yeah, this was the one that was really weird because it should have been offside. Like everything about this play was like you watch it at full speed, you're like, oh God, please don't be offside. And then you look at the replay, it's not even close. But no, it's so weird because you don't expect a shot to be deflected by your own player and be onside.
That was my first instinct too. And then you saw the replay and they had a defender almost in the goal. I mean, she was all the way back. So it would have been impossible.
I think she put her hand up too. I love that.
Yeah. It was just so obvious that she was like not where she needed to be. In the 50th minute, that was her only goal of the first half. But in the 50th minute, a St. Joe's defender made a goal line save on the near post to deny Sophia Stram, which would have been her first goal of the season, off a corner. That was one that I thought it was going in. I couldn't believe she was just, right place, right time, but that's why you guard the post.
Yeah. 63rd minute, Hannah Larson sent a ball across the 6-yard line past Simon, to Emily Gaby all alone on the far post. Elise Lay got the second assist on the goal. The Hawks had 2 good chances in the last few minutes, but couldn't put anything on frame. This one was a little less lopsided on the stat sheet. The Billikens had 22 shots to St. Joe's 9, 12-3 in shots on goal, 11-2 corners. Fouls were 10-8 St. Joe's. SLU controlled this one wire to wire. Never stopped attacking, dominated possession, even with a 2-goal lead. I love this. This is leading up to what was an unbelievably solid complete performance in the championship game.
It really was. I mean, this felt a lot better than a lot of other recent SLU games, Zach. You know, they just, except for those chances for St. Joe's right at the beginning and end, they didn't really generate anything, and they never let off the gas, which was great. It felt like the only chance St. Joe's would have been on a quick counter, and likely would have involved a mistake or two from SLU. But that didn't really come together, except for the ones we've already talked about. So, Zach, you get to the A10 Championship today as we record, yesterday as you guys listen, Sunday the 10th at Herman Stadium against 3-seed UMass. And UMass is a pretty good team. Izzy Lubert's out of the lineup for this game with an injury that she suffered in the previous game, which, you know, we kind of missed, or at least I did at the time. But SLU still came away with a 3-1 win here. And, I mean, great performance.
It was, and it's funny because I sat there and I kind of emotionally prepared that they would drop this game. It kind of the way the season had been, the bumps in the road along the way. UMass, watching them play against Dayton, they were so far superior to Dayton in that game. I thought they moved the ball so much better. And I thought they were just way more dangerous. So I was really concerned about UMass going into this game. But, you know, again, just a vintage performance from all involved. Talk about Emily Gaby had a vintage goal. You had a goal, Lindsay Heckel, vintage goals. It was a great game all the way around. It started out with a little bad vibes though, Pete. The ESPN Plus feed was a little wonky. Somebody tripped over the wire.
It was fine before the game. Everything seemed perfect. Fine. And then as soon as kickoff came around, there was no sound for the first couple minutes. And then the picture went out for a little bit.
Yes.
It came back again with no sound. And then finally everything started working.
It was a bit disastrous because I was in the car on the way back and I had the ESPN broadcast up. And of course I'm relying on the sound.
Yeah.
The dulcet tones of Dan Betlak were taking me the last 45 minutes into St. Louis.
Yeah.
And it went out, and I did my best not to panic. And of course, you know, 13th minute, Hannah Larson lobs a ball into an empty spot in the middle of three UMass defenders. Emily Gaby.
Zach, this was amazing to me because when she lobbed that ball in, you were kind of like, okay, she overplayed Gaby, but she just knew Gaby going downhill is so much more effective than anywhere those couple of defenders could have closed out, right? So Gaby gets to the ball before any of them, makes a move to her right, you know, a couple dribbles, and then blasts a shot low, long. As it turns out, on another replay that I didn't even notice this at the time, nutmegged one of the defenders right between her legs, all the way to the far side of the net for the first goal. And like you called it before, absolutely vintage Emily Gaby goal, taking something out of nothing in traffic and really punishing the defense for it. I was so impressed by what she did there.
Yeah, I mean, there was the goalkeeper for the Minute Women. Did not see it all. That was Bella Mendoza, and she was outstanding in this game. This game could have been 4-5-1. She made unbelievable save after unbelievable save. It just feels like incredibly stout defense and goalkeeping has been the Achilles heel of the Billikens this year, really serving to frustrate them, and the Billikens really kept pressing and kept pushing, and it paid off. Except in the 37th minute when UMass leveled the score at 1, a few dangerous crosses into the box. It was just a couple of minutes, quick succession, and then they connected on the last one. It was Bella Racinos getting credit off for a goal that may have gone off Sophia Stram, which would have been her first goal as a Billiken.
It was close. She had her, you know, she was sliding, both of them were kind of sliding at the ball. It was hard to tell. The announcers thought it went off a Stram, but I think she does, you know, the Racinos, the UMass player, deserve credit for it anyway. But just unfortunate, Zach, because SLU had really dominated the first 35 minutes. And then all of a sudden, you know, UMass was dangerous on the counter, threw a couple of crosses over there, and on the second or third one, like in a 1 or 2 minute span, is when they connected on this goal. So it just kind of felt like SLU loosened up just a little bit too much.
Again, we talked about Mendoza. A 56th minute, an incredible save off Emily Gaby header on a free kick.
Yep.
Again, a big save on Julia Simon a few minutes later. Again, Larson was shoved to the ground just inside the box, no call. 74th minute, Lindsay Heckel gave the Billikens the lead on a header from a Katie Hout corner kick to make the lead 2-1. Pete, I think in this one, it just, like, again, it was vintage. It was Lindsay Heckel getting on the end of a corner. It was Emily Gaby making no mistake when she gets her chances to fire a shot on goal. She missed, again, a few other headers. She was getting her head on every cross. It seemed like whether or not she was within distance to head a ball into the net or not, she was getting to that ball. And that's something we hadn't seen in a while.
She had one that she was pretty close on in the first half, a little bit closer in the second half. She was on one. So I think SLU felt good about her chances if they could kind of get it in the air in the middle of the box there. And sure enough, you can only give her so many chances. She got her head up above everybody on this third one and put it right in. It was actually off the keeper's hand too. So she hit it hard. She hit it with purpose in this one. Really satisfying to see her connect on that goal after a couple close misses earlier. But I'm glad SLU stuck with that strategy of trying to get a ball to her forehead.
In the 84th minute, UMass hit the crossbar on a long blast. Again, they gave them a corner. Not sure if Percelli got a piece of that or not.
Yeah.
The 90th minute, Ice Gaby, as Dan Betlock called her on the broadcast. She iced the game. UMass keeper sent. I mean, this was a terrible goal kick. Again, the
She
Billikens,
rushed it.
It was like watching FIFA. It was like watching a game of FIFA when you play the ball long and the first header is just inexplicably just right back and the guy's heading in on goal.
Yeah.
This was like that, but Gaby kind of ripped a half volley, far side net. Goalkeeper again. Both Gaby goals, the keeper really had no shot.
No, she didn't. Because she was, Emily was on the right side both times, and the keeper was well over to her side, and she just played it into the left side of the net both times. This one, it was pretty funny because, there's a minute left on the clock. It's ticking. She's trying to rush it. She takes the goal kick, and a SLU player, I don't remember who, just got a piece of it to push it back.
Had to be like Simon.
It was Simon or Hauck or somebody, and it bounced. I think it bounced 3 times.
Yes.
Before she finally just took a whack at it and placed it perfectly. So it was pretty funny to watch, Zach. But I mean, last minute of the game, so that sealed SLU's 7th consecutive A10 championship title. They outshot UMass 16-6, 7-3 in shots on goal, 10-5 in corners. UMass did have 13 fouls to SLU's 6. They also had both yellow cards, one in the run of play early in the second half, and then one on the UMass bench late in the game. UMass is a good team, Zach. Top 40 in the RPI. I want to say they were like number 38 heading into this game. It would have been a shame to let them take the conference.
Yeah, you can't leave with the belt.
That's
Bret Hart knows
right.
that.
In their final A10
This was the
season.
Montreal screw job. This was the Herman screw job.
So SLU moves to 13-1-3 all time against UMass, who they won't be playing anymore. Good riddance. Enjoy the MAC. Heckel was named most outstanding player of the A10 tournament. Gaby, Hauck, Larson, Percelli, and Schwartz joined her on the all-tournament team. SLU has now won 20 straight A10 tournament games, and they will enter the NCAA tournament on a 16-game unbeaten streak at 12-0-4. And it got me to thinking, Zach, we have kind of been reckoning with this team's mortality this season. We've seen them last season, the year before, crushing everybody almost on their schedule, right? And then in this season, what we have is some ties that probably should have been wins, right? A few disappointing ties, and then some wins, narrow wins, 1-2 goal wins that in the past felt like they would have been 3, 4, 5 goal wins. So you take a step back and you look at their record and you realize, like, this is a one-loss team. Like they're still a really, really good team. Even though they've shown they're not invulnerable, they still know how to win. And I don't quite know how to feel about that heading into the tournament because it's all hard games from here on out, right? Like no matter who they draw in the selection show, which is Monday afternoon, 3 p.m. St. Louis time, you'd like to think they're going to get a home game, but we've seen year after year they get a really hard draw in this tournament most of the time. Memphis or Notre Dame or somebody good.
Kansas.
They always wind up with somebody
power
than they should be playing numerically in the first round.
The selection show is today, Monday the 11th at 3 p.m. St. Louis time. On the men's basketball broadcast, I don't know if anybody caught it, but at halftime, Chris May indicated that they were hoping that Friday they would host an NCAA tournament game. He singled out Friday. So
okay. Well, I like that.
Men's soccer. Speaking of great games, this one was for being a 0-0 draw going into penalties. This game had it all, and I thought it was just a very fun, entertaining soccer game.
Yeah, it really was. I had this on my phone and earbuds as I was like doing yard work, half watching the game, half doing. So I guess it's good that there wasn't a whole lot of scoring or action, Zach. 3 combined shots on goal in regulation and extra time. 3. I mean, 110 minutes of regulation and extra time. I don't even know how that's possible.
By the way, I want to shout out the UMass announcers because we rarely get really good announcers on broadcasts, and I thought they were outstanding on this broadcast. Like they knew their shit.
They put a lot of effort into it. You could tell they were nerds. They were soccer nerds. I think they brought that up too. They gave themselves a little pat on the back because they watch so much international soccer.
They did bring up Abinel's playing with Mbappe a little bit. They asked if he did, and I think they got it wrong because I believe he did play with Mbappe for a time. SLU hit the penalty kicks. What is with our goalies and saving PKs?
Amazing. Yeah, just amazing, Zach. I mean,
it's funny.
Luckily, he only needed to save one, though.
Yes. The Billikens hit all 3. I believe Floriani scored first. UMass stepped up, missed the first one.
Yeah, they sent that one high.
Yeah, Abinel saved the second one. I think he went to his right.
Yeah, and that was after Grady Easton converted.
Yep, and then Luis Lara converted, and then UMass missed one wide.
It was wide and high, I think.
Okay.
You just sailed it.
Man, it's a bad day to be a UMass soccer player. I tweeted that today, and I still believe it. Again, Abinel, outstanding. He was outstanding in the run of play, too. He saved the game on a header.
Yes, he did.
Yeah, that was one of the, 3? You said 3 combined shots. One of them was a header on goal, and Abinel made an incredible save on it.
Yeah, 3 combined shots on goal is yeah. I mean, for the game, SLU outshot UMass 9-6.
Yeah.
They had an 8-4 edge in corners, so there were opportunities in this game. SLU, though, Zach, I thought was the better team in the second half and extra time. And Xavier Holloway had maybe the game's best chance late with a long shot that was just about to dip under the crossbar, but the UMass keeper got there in time. This was in extra time, so that would have been a winner.
Leatherman was everywhere in this one. I loved watching him play in this one. It's one of those where you really do pay attention. You latch on to a player because he's just making an impact everywhere on the field. The name we heard more than any other on the broadcast. He had a awesome professional foul to stop a UMass counter. He did get the ball. He did foul the guy. You can foul a guy and get the ball, but he made a play on the ball. That's why there's no yellow card. So I think it was fair, even if he did. So what? Great foul. It was a tense, chippy game. Again, UMass had 18 fouls. SLU had 15. So again, 33 fouls. There was one. The game really had great flow, but also had a lot of fouls. UMass was given 2 yellows. SLU had 1, given an 8 ward. I thought this game started out rough because I thought the officiating was weird early in this one. I know you said you were listening to it, but it just felt like there was some weird 50-50 balls that should, like, either no foul or it should have been UMass's foul, and it went against us.
Yeah.
But other than that, I thought it was really well done all the way around. I thought it was just a really entertaining game. What's this about the red card? Because I don't remember this.
So this was right after Holloway's miss. I can't remember who did it. I'm forgetting they were like, oh, that's got to be a red. You don't remember? It was like it was late. It was in the second extra time.
Okay, I was following
because I was actually, like, at the time my son and I were driving down to the FC Cincinnati playoff game. So we both were out of. We were both out of pocket. So I was like, I had an earbud in and I was listening, and he was, reading or something in the back seat. So I had it on my phone, but I wasn't able to watch at the time because I'm driving. And so I heard them calling for the red card. We watched the PKs as we were walking from the car into the stadium. Is when that was happening. But no, I missed it. They insisted it should have been a red card, and SLU didn't even get a foul on the play. So I was seeing if you remembered that one, but nevertheless, it didn't get called.
Before we wrap up this game, I want to talk about going to PKs, because I think it was funny because you texted me. I knew we had it once we went to PKs. I go, I thought the same thing. I could have turned it off and not. I was like, yeah, I would have been comfortable with what happens.
Yeah.
Because I knew I kind of, I just feel like we have goalkeepers that are ready for prime time.
Yeah. I felt good.
Next up will be the semifinal on Wednesday, the 13th. They'll go to George Mason. 2 teams did not meet in the regular season. Mason beat AC LaSalle 2-0 in the first round. Is George Mason still ranked? I do not have that answer. But on the other side of the bracket, number 2 Dayton beat number 7 Davidson 1-0, and 5 seed Fordham shut out 4 seed Duquesne 3-0. The Dayton Fordham game will also be on Wednesday night. Did you get us an answer?
I'm, for whatever reason, United Soccer, their ranking page is really slow right now, but it's pulling up, and the men's rankings have George Mason also receiving votes. Okay. So they would be like number 27, 28 right now.
Speaking of George Mason, the volleyball Billikens swept George Mason this week. Pete, run us down that first game real quick, and then I'll get the second one, and then we will get out of here.
3-0 sweep on Friday the 8th against George Mason, 25-19, 25-16, 25-18. When is the last time SLU had a sweep like that, and none of them were particularly close? It feels like a really long time.
Great to see.
Trinity Luckett, Addie Bruce led with 12 kills each. Carly Rogers, 18 digs. Abby Lynn, 20 assists. SLU out-hit George Mason by a season-high 400 to 225 and had almost as many aces as errors. That's 9 aces, 10 errors. So it was all business in this first one, Zach. And the second one was not quite as dominant, but they still got it done.
Yeah, it's good to see the Billikens cut down on errors. 3-1 win. They lost the first set 19-25. Won the next 3, 25-21, 26-24, 25-18. Bruce, match high 19, while Trinity Luckett hit 524 on 11 kills. Abby Lynn led SLU with 26 assists, made it a double-double with 12 digs. Rogers, 21 digs. The Billikens needed to sweep this series after a shaky start, and they won 3 straight to do it. They will host Dayton on Friday and Saturday, 15th and 16th. Dayton is 16-0, alone in first place, and nationally ranked. This is going to be a Herculean task to stay competitive with Dayton. Honestly, Dayton is that good. The Billikens are 6-10 and have sole position of 6th place, which is the last spot for the A10 tournament. However, there are 3 teams with a record of 4-12: Duquesne, George Mason, and Rhode Island. If any of them sweep this weekend and SLU is swept by Dayton, it will come down to tiebreakers. Duquesne and Mason play. Rhode Island will be at Davidson. Swimming and diving are off this week. And next up, they will be at the House of Champions at IU Indy. Hey, I was just there. Thank you. Thank IU Indy for their parking lot. November 21st through the 23rd. Pete, it's a good week for Billiken Athletics, I think.
It really was. That was a good weekend.
Yeah, fun.
Good weekend for soccer. Basketball, had a pretty solid week overall. Touch and go first week, but I think we feel good about the direction. And Zach, we'll take it.
All right, Pete. As always, go Bills.
Go Bills.